We take integrity really seriously, don't we? For those of us who work for organisations like the police or the clergy, or organisations where the public quite rightly expect and put a high degree of trust in us, integrity are things our organisations are concerned deeply about. Likewise, as individuals, when we see leaders fail, whether it's our organisational leaders or political leaders, there's been a lot of that in recent years, we get rightly quite angry, don't we? Because we've placed trust in people and they've let us down. And organisations spend huge amounts of time and effort and resource trying to get virtues like integrity driven deep into organisations, and for good reasons. But here's a question we perhaps never actually think about and dive deeply into. Why does integrity matter? Why does it matter so much? And why does it matter to us personally? I mean, let me put it to you this way. Suppose you had the opportunity to behave utterly amorally. Imagine you had the opportunity to cheat and lie and, manipulate your colleagues and behave in all kinds of monstrous ways, but the beauty is they would never find out. So the public world would think of you as a person of integrity, but you would know on the inside that actually you were a total hypocrite. If you were given that opportunity to choose that life, would you? I suspect most of us would go, no, not at all. We want to be people who actually are people of integrity and that the public aspect of our lives and the private align. But why is that? Why are we drawn to that degree of virtue? You see, here's the problem. If we as human beings are nothing more than the result of time plus chance plus natural selection, if evolution is the only game in town, if we are just very cleverly evolved primates, where has integrity as a virtue come from? Because on the evolutionary game, if that's the only game in town, then all that matters is that we survive and pass our DNA on to the next generation. Survival and reproduction, survival of the fittest is all that matters. And sure, maybe, if integrity, helps you find a mate and pass on your genes, so be it. But how can it possibly go any deeper than that? There's a huge problem there, I think. And I think the problem lies here in that integrity is deeply connected to another question that we rarely think about, and that's the question of purpose. Is there something human beings are actually meant to be, or again, is everything just randomness? You see, it's purpose in every other case that I can think of that now allows us to determine whether something is being used well or badly, if it's good or bad. Let me give you a slightly flippant example. If I was to say to you, I'm really cross actually today because my toaster is a bad toaster. And you go, what do you mean your toaster's a bad toaster? I went, well, yeah, last night I was drying some socks in my toaster and it caught fire and it burnt part of the kitchen to charcoal. It's a bad toaster. You would probably say, Andy, we need to have a little conversation here because toasters are actually designed for warming bread. They're not designed for drying laundry. And we tell whether a toaster is a good one or a bad one by how well it aligns with that purpose. And you'd be absolutely right. Well, if that's true for something as simple as a kitchen appliance, what about human beings? Is there anything we were designed to be? Are we intended, were we designed, were we created to be people who do display integrity and who are trustworthy and reliable and so on and so forth? Well, as a Christian, I would say the answer is yes, we were. Because as Christians, we don't believe that we are cosmic accidents, but that we are created in the image of a God who is himself a God of integrity and truth and goodness and justice. And when he created us as human beings, we were intended to reflect some of that character of God to the world. Now, sadly, of course, we go wrong in all kinds of ways. That's a different story. But actually, we were intended to be people of integrity. And when we aren't, bad things happen. But one final thought. I think virtues like integrity and justice and truth and goodness and others, they make perfect sense if there is God behind the world. If, on the other hand, watching this, you're of a secular mind, that you do think, well, we are just nothing more than the molecules of which we're made, but you still want to hang on to Christian virtues like integrity and truth and justice and so on, with the greatest respect, there's an irony in that your belief system doesn't have an integrity. It falls apart in your hands. But the fact that we are drawn to virtues like integrity tell me, I think, that deep down, no matter how we may protest those of us who are secular, deep down our very spirits, our very essence reflects the fact that we do know that we are made in the image of a God who is like as I described, and that is why we take virtues like integrity so seriously.